everyone. Again, you can go ahead and share your name, where you're from, and what kind of dog you have that you like to venture out with. If you'd like to share your pet's Instagram profile, go for it. Throw that in the chat. We can all check it out. That's super fun. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So you can use the chat for things like showing us your Instagram, and then if you look at the bottom of Zoom, you can see a Q&A, and we'll go over this a little bit more later, but as Melissa is presenting, that's where you can put questions more related to the content, and I will filter those throughout the webinar, and then we'll be answering those at the end. So feel free to use the Q&A for that function, and the chat to just kind of tell us who you are and say how excited you are about adventuring with your pup in the winter. So my name is Jessica. I am an event coordinator with SheJumps. I'm a volunteer. SheJumps is a national nonprofit that was started based on the idea, if she can do it, I can do it too. I joined the organization because I believe in the power of this idea. So often we get discouraged by big goals that we think we aren't strong enough, smart enough, capable enough to do. And I found that when I get together with women and girls, my fears drop away and I feel confident to go and achieve those big goals. And so that's why I volunteer for this organization. Later, we'll share our Instagram and all the information about SheJumps, and there will be a recap email at the end of this that has future events, our website, ways you can get involved, all of that fun stuff. Tonight, Melissa from Juniper Trails has joined us, and she is awesome. She's an expert in the field. I've really enjoyed working with her already, and I'm real excited to see what she has to say. And again, so as she's presenting, type in your questions in the Q&A. If you kind of hover your cursor at the bottom of your Zoom, you should see a chat function and a Q&A function. And the Q&A function will be for questions related to content. I'll filter those, and at the end we will answer them. And let's see what else. I think that's all I needed to go over. And I'm gonna shoot it over to you, Melissa.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am so excited for tonight and to talk about this. Our pack loves adventuring, and that is a big part of our lifestyle, and we especially love winter adventures. That is the season where we come alive. We all love the snow, and I love sharing that love with others. So super stoked. I live outside Park City, Utah, and I am Juniper Trails. I believe in a balanced and holistic approach to working with dogs, and I love to work with packs on growing stronger and understanding our dogs as the wonderful, unique, amazing individuals they are, and cultivating their personalities, building their potential, and bonding together. So I truly believe in cultivating a dog's curiosity and being a part of this wonderful adventure of life with them. And that is kind of my theme as I go through this presentation. So I guess we'll get going. I will stop my video and share the screen. Slowly but surely, I will share the screen.
No worries. It always takes a minute to get everything set up. I'm so excited about
Perfect.
Guys.
Okay, we should be here. Starting on a weird slide. There we go. Perfect. So getting started in winter sports, this is a really broad topic. So a lot of my advice for y'all will be pretty broad to kind of go over, right? We have a huge diversity of dog breeds that we're going to be talking about tonight, which I love. And so everything that we talk about, like I said, it'll be broad. There's a lot of nuance to certain things like gear and what our dogs can handle. So as you go through this presentation, really think about your dog as a unique individual. Think of some questions that you have, and we can do that in the Q&A, do your own research as well. And yeah, so first, we are going to talk about the types of winter dog sports. We often think about the big adventurous ones, like going to a summit, backcountry skiing or snowboarding, but there's a huge variety of activities that you can do with your dog in the winter. So we have ski joring. That is one that I'm starting with my border collie Cooper, and it is so much fun. I think everybody should do it. Fat tire biking with our dogs. And then there's bike joring, which is a combination of ski joring and fat tire biking, where your dog pulls your bike. Backcountry skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, hiking. Citizen science is something that I love, love, love. It is something that you can do where you as a non-scientist can participate in scientific studies through data collection. So for example, like while you're out snowshoeing, you can look for this particular type of finch. You say where you saw the finch, you submit that to the organization that you're doing the study through. And it's just a really fun way to kind of take hiking and snowshoeing to the next level. Scent work is also an activity that you can do year round, but I particularly love to do it in the winter with dogs that can't do certain winter activities. Either they have a medical condition, their age, or their breed doesn't really lend them to enjoy, let's say, for example, backcountry skiing. You can do scent work with your dog that they can be engaged and happy in the winter, and it's not as physically demanding as ski joring or backcountry would be. So there's a huge variety. Most important, like just having fun with your dog, right? When you go out, it is important that we are prepared at all times. So in your bag, you should always have your canine first aid kit, some paw wax. I like to put the paw wax into a smaller tin to make it easier to pack. That way, right, you don't have to carry around the huge container. A thermal blanket in case of emergencies, a dog rescue harness. We will talk about those later on. Water. We'll also talk about, I make a little electrolyte drink for my dogs, so you can bring that as well. Always bring water when you're out adventuring with your dog. Don't depend on snow to hydrate your dog. Snow is not a very good way to hydrate. Your dog has to eat a lot of it to become hydrated, but by eating a lot of snow, they can lower their internal temperature. You can get closer to hypothermia. Often dogs, that would lead them to puking, right? Thinking about eating a bunch of snow cones and then going for a run, that does not sound comfortable. Treats and a leash. Even if you're off leash, you never know when you need a leash. And so always having that in your pack is super crucial. So now we're going to talk a little bit about gear. Gear is a very broad subject, and so I'm going to give pretty broad advice because not right. Some of us like are the breeds that we have. We have some Huskies and we have a Vizsla. I'm going to give different gear advice for the Husky than I would the Vizsla. So some principles to remember are that our dogs are tough, but that doesn't mean they don't need support. Dog gear is meant to be a support for our dogs' natural abilities and not a replacement of them. Learn about your dog and research gear. That is something that's super important, is knowing what our gear is for, how it should fit, and why. And so with your breeds, really think about in what conditions did they evolve and what were they bred to do. That can give you a lot of useful information on what type of gear or what type of activities your dog would love the most. And in that, you can know their ability and their comfort level. And so that can help you decide, they can handle this type of terrain, maybe this other type of terrain or weather, they can't be out as long. There's a lot of really cool information that can be found in that. And so recognizing that your dog is a wonderful, unique individual, and to alter your gear and training accordingly. But first, we're going to talk gear from head to tail. So the first one is goggles. Goggles are an amazing tool that we can use to help our dogs be more comfortable. And it can protect against sun damage and snow and debris. Last year, I had 3 people message me that their dog was jumping in the snow and they stabbed their eye on a stick. Another person, their dog was skiing behind them and a piece of ice got into their dog's eye. And so I love to use goggles, at least to have your dog able to use goggles, so that you can have them in your pack, and that if you see them struggling, you can pull those out. And two, not only with like the debris, but on bluebird days, that sun can be super bright on the snow. And if you notice your dog wincing or their eyes are watering excessively, you can pull out those goggles to help support them. My favorite goggles are Rex Specs. We use them and they are super durable, comfortable, and the dogs look real cute, which is a big plus. Coats. This is one that I get a lot of questions about. And so I want to, give as much advice as I can about it. So I think every dog should be able to wear a coat comfortably and to have confidence to wear one. Even if you don't need to use it for the elements, if your dog is in an emergency or needs to wear a coat because they have stitches or anything like that, having their ability to be comfortable in one can be a big game changer in not making a stressful situation more stressful. But also, coats are super important when we're out adventuring in the winter. Our dogs are super tough, and some of them are very stoic, and they don't show that they're cold when they actually are. And so I highly, highly recommend, again, learning about the conditions and where you're going, and learning about your dog and what temperatures they can handle. We had somebody message, right, that they are in -30, right? So you're going to use a totally different coat for that than what you would if you're in the South, right? And even that too, the conditions in which I adventure in with my dogs here is completely different than the Pacific Northwest. And so learning about what type of snow you have is a game changer, because there's such a variety of coats and some of them aren't waterproof. So if you're going to be in conditions that are wet or warm, you don't want a coat that's just going to hold on water, because then your dog is going to get cold. I highly recommend all of Ruffwear's coats. They are, I believe, the best out there. So I would go online, look through the coats, and find ones that will help your dog. To help your dog, right, get comfortable with a coat, because there are a lot of dogs that as soon as you put a coat on them, they freeze and they're kind of like, okay, what's going on? Don't just put the coat on them right before you go out adventuring, because that can be extremely stressful, right? We would never try new gear if we were going to go on ski a big objective. We would test out the gear first. So to do that, I recommend trying short increments daily during an activity that they look forward to, like dinner or fetch. Put the coat on, feed them, and then immediately take it off. Soon they will see that coat as a good thing. With conditioning our dogs, you always want to stay below the threshold and have multiple positive experiences. So whether your dog finds the most positivity through food or fetch. So maybe you put the coat on and immediately start playing fetch. You get their brain to immediately transition from, whoa, what's this weird thing on me, to, I want to go play. This is awesome. And then you take it off, and through positive repetition, they will feel absolutely comfortable in that coat. With coats too, it is all about balance. Your coat, you should be very strategic about what coat you use. There are a lot of coats that look really cute, but the function of them is not very good. And if you are putting a coat on your dog, think about the coats for different temperatures. Too often I've seen folks get like a really heavy duty coat, and then it's a 50-degree day and their dog is actually overheating because they're too hot. So really being aware of, I need a lightweight coat and a heavyweight coat, waterproof coat, and what your dog can handle. What's great about the Ruffwear gear is you can find a lot of variety, and they're very fluid. So you can get some that are medium and water resistant versus heavy duty waterproof. You can find a good balance there. But all that being said, it is very important to allow your dog the natural ability to acclimatize. When given the ability and the chance, right, our dogs can adapt to different conditions. If you are always putting a coat on your dog, even if it's like 60 degrees, and let's say all of a sudden you don't have a coat, your dog might not have the tools it needs to adapt to different temperatures. So be very smart about your coat use and be prepared. And our dogs have the amazing ability, like I said, to acclimatize over time. A personal story that I have with this is we got our dog Trigger when she was a year old. And she was well, I guess she is litter mates with our other dog, Yuki. So we got Yuki as a puppy and had her for a year. And then we got Trigger. And so the week we got Trigger, we went on a desert camping trip, and Trigger had a very hard time with the cold. And it wasn't even that cold, but she had never been camping before. And she was kept in a pretty like a narrow range of temperature, I should say. So she was mostly inside a lot. And so when she went out to the desert, we had to put a puffy on her because she was getting really cold. But throughout time, we gave her little moments, right? Little segments of time in cooler temperatures. And now she has, her threshold is about 20. If it's below 20, then we get some of her gear out. But above that, she is totally fine and happy, and she doesn't need that extra tool. So think about your dog, think about what they're capable of, what their abilities are, their comfort level, and do your part to research the gear that can help take them to the next level. And you can't go wrong with the rough wear stuff. So speaking of which, right, if our dogs are cold, so these are some of the main signs of if your dog is cold and what you can look for. The first one is shaking or shivering. This one can be deceiving though. So I will say if there's shaking or shivering, look for the other body language as well. Many breeds will shake when they're excited and their adrenaline is pumping. Other dogs will shake and they learn that if they shake, we pick them up. And so they will use that to tell us. Some dogs are very tricky that way. And so if your dog is shaking, but none of these other body language things are happening, it very well could just be that stoke, right? They're super excited. But if you see like a hunched posture with a tucked tail, the whining, the lifting their paw off the ground, which is also a stress signal. So unless it's a pointer, right? They point to mark, but if they're lifting their paw off the ground, they don't want to keep walking, running back to the car, trying to find shelter. A couple of dogs, and actually one dog in our neighborhood, ran away and found shelter under a tree and wouldn't come back because he was cold and he was trying to den up. And so being very aware of if our dogs are trying to seek shelter, if your dog is moving really slow, or if their ears are really, really cold. So if you grab your dog's ears and you're like, oh, wow, these are cold, then that is a sign that they're getting probably too cold for comfort. There are many dogs too that are very stoic and they don't show that they're cold until it can be a little too late or too close to hypothermia for comfort. So be very aware of your dog and don't confuse excitement for they're not cold. Look for these signs, take periodic breaks, and if need be, you can have that thermal blanket or a towel to dry them off if they are getting too cold. And so with that too, right, how to know if our dogs are, like what temperature ranges they're comfortable in, go outside daily, right? Go outside in a variety of conditions and you can learn a lot about your dog's comfort levels. Dog boots. This is one I also get a lot of questions about. And it's also one that I think every dog should be comfortable with wearing shoes, even if they don't regularly use them. And so it is a game changer in getting them used to their paws being handled, or if they get an injury, that you can put those shoes on. Most of the top injuries out in the backcountry are nail injuries. And so you can have prevention, right, with your boots, or you can have bandages and a boot to protect your dog's feet. Boots are best for traversing rough terrain, hard crust snow. That one's very, very important. That stuff can really wreak havoc on your dog's pads. Icy hard pack, and it can also help, it prevents the snow sticking in between their pads. They're also super important for the long durations on non-pet safe salted surfaces and when interacting around skis or snowboards. When interacting around skis or snowboards, you want the taller boots to protect more of their leg rather than the shorter boots. The fit should be snug, but not rubbing, and they should be able to stay on, but you really want to make sure that you're not pinching your dog's feet, because that can cause foot problems long-term. The real big game changer is the dog socks. So always get the dog socks. You get a more secure fit, and it can help protect your dog's feet, especially if they have a dew claw. You don't want that dew claw to be irritated by the boots. So always shoot for the socks, and get multiple too. So when you're out, you can always have fresh socks if they get wet. With the boots, while we love to laugh at our dogs walking funny in the boots, for some dogs that can actually cause a lot of stress, especially if you're doing that on a hard surface like a wood floor or tile. This is my favorite way to get a dog acclimated to boots. And so the step one is that in one hand, you're going to put the boots and a high value treat. So you want to put the high value treat on top of the boots and show the boots to your dog. Let them eat the treat, let them smell the boots, maybe lick the boots, and repeat this multiple times daily. So you want it to be where you pull those shoes out and your dog is like, oh, heck yeah, the shoes are out. That means good things are happening. Once your dog gets to that point, then I would like 2 people to help with this one, and to be on a grass, dirt, or a snow surface. And while one person is putting the shoes on, the other person is giving them treats, or you have a lick mat with peanut butter to keep your dog occupied. Put the boots on fast, and then immediately after putting the boots on, get them excited, and don't let their mind fixate just on the boots. So depending on your dog, you can toss them a high value treat in the grass for them to find, have a lick mat with peanut butter or yogurt, play fetch, bring out a new toy. If they have a dog friend that they like to play with, have that friend come. You want it to be super fun. And just like with the coats, you keep the session short, under 15 minutes in the beginning, keep it short and positive, and repeat as much as you can. As your dog's comfortability with the boots increases, you then increase the duration in which they're wearing them. So again, just like with the coats and other gear, you don't try it on the day of the adventure, because you don't want to be halfway up to the summit and have your dog's paws being rubbed raw, or the boots falling off, or your dog stressed. Make it fun and think of it, training for the big adventure. So yeah, that's with the boots. But with the boots, we also want to support our dog's natural pad health. A healthy pad should be strong, supple, and calloused. Too soft of paws can be rubbed off, blister, cause pain, or get cold. Paws that are too dry get cracked and scratchy and can cause the pads to be more easily ripped off. And those cracks in your dog's paws can deepen and cause pain, infection, and especially in the winter, the road salt can get into the cracks of your dog's feet. Always wash your dog's feet when you get home if they were on any type of salt, even pet safe salt, wash it off, and make sure that your dog's paws aren't cracked and super calloused. A healthy pad, like I said, strong, supple, and good callus, not the dry, scratchly calluses. Paw pad health is a mixture of conditioning, nutrition, and genetics. It is a real wild card. So this is one of the most individualistic things, through this presentation, where I really want you to think about your dog as a unique individual, because there's a lot that can play into their pad health. You can do incremental exposure on rough surfaces to help build the calluses. So regularly taking your dog outside can do this on a variety of surfaces and conditions. So getting your dog used to walking on cold sand, warm sand, grass, and even in the winter, you can do things like get different mats with different textures and walk over them. And so even in a pinch, you can go to the hardware store and they always have different rugs, and they have those rugs that are kind of rough for like the front door stuff, that you can put those in a line, walk your dog over them, do some training. Even that little of a thing just conditioned your dog's paws to a new surface. A lot of people will say, well, yeah, but dogs are animals. They, their pads evolved. It's true, but within the last 100 years or so, our dogs have been spending more and more time inside into temperature regulated and soft surfaces. So really being strategic about your dog's pads. You can also add foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin A, zinc, collagen, biotin, stuff like bone broth, salmon, eggs, either chicken or quail, and liver. So every winter, I like to up those things in my dog's diet, and I notice a huge difference in their paws. And so if your dogs are struggling, take a look at the conditioning and nutrition, because those are the things that we can control. Genetics, we can't, right? And so if your dog's paws are struggling, you're doing those other two, you can rely more on boots to help keep your dog comfortable and happy and take them to the next level. With paw health as well, trim the long toe hair to prevent knots, burrs, clods of dirt, and as well as the snowballs. If you have a long-haired dog, regularly keep that trimmed so that they have an easier time out adventuring, right? To prevent those snowballs that can really just pester them. Keep their nails short. Check for split or broken nails. And if there is something like that, immediately address it so there's no infection or discomfort. With this, the products I love are Musher's Secret. It is the best. I put it on the girls before every adventure. And I notice a huge difference in their paws as well as the snowball accumulation. So really thinking about all of this with gear, there's amazing gear out there that can help support you and your dog. And there's also a lot of things that you can do through conditioning, training, nutrition that can help support the gear itself. Cool. I don't know why I did that. Other gear that I love the Roughwear Beacon lights, either the Audible one or the Beacon dog safety one. It is super important that we make our dogs highly visible when out in the backcountry. I hear way too much about people's dogs being hit, or people almost hitting a dog or losing their dog, and they blend so amazingly well into the environment. So have a bright light on them or something really bright for their safety and for others as well. I also love the Roughwear Highlands dog pad. It is game changer. Like if you go to the summit or if you're wanting to take a picnic, you can pull that out, place it, and your dog can have a spot to lay down. I also love to have a portable dog mat, a training place, so that you can teach place at home. They see that dog bed as a place of comfort, safety, and rest, and that no matter where you go, whether it's the trailhead, the summit, wherever, you pop that out, your dog can rest and warm up. So they're not just laying on the wet snow and getting cold. Pam is a very unlikely MVP of winter adventures, but Pam or other vegetable cooking spray is actually amazing at preventing snowballs on our long-haired dogs. I have a long-haired border collie. I spray cooking spray on her. She loves it. On her belly, feet, and like her back and tail before we go out skinning, and she doesn't get snowballs accumulating. That being said, with the cooking spray, works for me, and I've heard it's worked for others. There is a huge diversity in dog coats, and there's a huge diversity in temperature and snow types. I don't know as well if this would work in like wet, hard snow or like -30 snow. So try it on a shorter walk, see how it works. I recommend trying it on 1 foot so you can see a difference between your feet, and if it knots the hair, which I kind of noticed it does tend to make your hair a little bit more tangled, but I just kind of quickly run through it with my fingers and it hasn't been an issue. But that's the real MVP. I guess the biggest MVP though is the Fido Pro Lift or any other dog rescue harness. This is one of the things I am most grateful that I have in our adventure toolbox, and that our girls are comfortable to be carried in that lift. When you go out, it is so hard to travel through snow. And now imagine carrying 30 pounds plus. And if your dog is hurt or anything like that, you can pull that out and you can get them to safety. It saves dogs' lives, and it's not that big, and it can fit in your pack, or have your dog carry their own backpack and they can carry their own stuff. But it's super important. And again, you practice it at home regularly. And then when you go out, your dog will see it and they'll be excited. Actually, a lot of dogs learn that they get a free ride and that the lift is actually really fun. Also cute. So speaking of safety, a big topic with winter adventures is avalanche danger in our dogs. I am very cautious with winter adventuring with my pack. I don't go out unless it's green conditions because our dogs don't know the risks. And I want them to be safe, and no adventure or objective is worth risking my dog's life. And so I'm being very aware of snow conditions. Number one, never strap a human avalanche beacon onto your dog. It is incredibly risky and dangerous to you and others in your party. They do have beacons that go off of a different frequency. And so everybody else can be on one, your dog is on a completely different frequency. I would contact your local avalanche center and talk to them about beacons. I am not an expert in that field, but what I do know is, beacons are a last resort and not your first line of defense. So if you're adventuring and you're going, oh, they've got their beacon on, we'll do it. Kind of take a step back and reevaluate, what we're willing to put our dogs in. So always check the aving conditions before you go and while you're out on the slopes. I recommend checking out Know Before You Go, as well as all the amazing SheJumps courses out there. Even if you're like, Melissa, I'm only going to do snowshoeing, I don't need to learn about avalanches. Last year, there was an incredibly risky avalanche conditions, and even snowshoeing trails had deadly avalanches. So if you are going anywhere out in the snow, know about avalanches, know about your local Avi Center, and do the research. And so with that, and kind of this is more for like skiing, right? When you're out in the backcountry, always avoid the conditions that put your dog's life at risk. Don't be afraid to call off an objective, because no line is more important than your dog's life. And so if you're planning this big objective day and you're going to go through these chutes and you're ready and excited, and it's a little risky, maybe leave your dog at home for that adventure. Take them on one that they can go on safely and comfortably. Not only that, but have good communication with your dogs so that they don't go in more dangerous slopes or areas than where you're going. Dogs have triggered avalanches because they've run to the other side of the ravine, and that can trigger an avalanche there. So make sure that you can communicate with your dog efficiently, that they trust you, that you can call them back. Because while dogs are extremely smart, don't expect your dog to understand the dangers of tree wells or cornices. And so being safe, thinking about the conditions, and just remembering your dog's job is to bring the stoke, you bring the safety. With that, our adventure dogs are athletes too. And so we often think about these amazing goals and the awesome adventures we're going to go on, but we should also think about the prep and the post-adventure recovery time. So the pre-stuff, you should think about training and physical conditioning. So thinking about the mileage, thinking about the powder training, because they use a lot of different muscles going through that deep pow, right? Thinking about your dog jumping like a little deer through the snow. And also think about the vertical gain that you're going to do in that day versus what your normal walks are. doing so can help prevent a lot of injuries to your dog. And it's amazing how much powder makes a huge difference. Before we just had a snowstorm yesterday. This is very exciting. Before that, we had a walking loop that we would go on. And it was, our loops were about 3 to 5 miles, and that's what would tire the girls out. We got snow, so we got out our split boards and went skinning. That was our first pack adventure of the season. We did a very short 1 mile loop, and they were tired. So thinking about your dog's ability, they're doing a lot of work, running forward, running back, running forward, running back, and going through that deep powder. And so training your dog for a lifetime filled with adventure, not just a season. So recognizing your dog's ability and set the expectations accordingly. Right? I often tell folks, if you can't ski a double black diamond before you can ski a bunny hill, right? So with our dogs, we've got to think about what is their double black diamond versus what is their bunny hill, right? Because you've got to progress accordingly to prevent injury and anything like that. Also, research your dog's breed or breed type. Some dogs are susceptible to certain injuries, so that you can be aware of, my dog is more susceptible to back problems, so I need to be very conscious of strengthening their back and core. Can help you adventure long until they're a senior, right? And speaking of age, puppy and adolescent dogs, we get so excited. Puppies have endless energy, but puppyhood is a time to build a strong bond and improve their skills. It is not a time for long mileage or big days. You can cause a lot of problems long-term by doing this. And so you want your dog to have a lifetime of adventure. So train smart. And that first year, while it's so hard to leave them home, go take them on adventures they can go on. Talk to your veterinarian about when their growth plates will close and when they can do more physical adventures. But in the meantime, think about the bonding and the mental training that you can do before you do those big days. And after the long days, make sure to stretch your dog out and give them a quick massage to help them not be sore. You can also do a body check. I have some videos on my Instagram of this, so you can go check that out. Just some quick stretching and massages that you can do. You can also talk to your veterinarian about what stretches your dog can do. And with any type of stretching or massage, make sure you're aware of if your dog has any past or current injuries or what they're capable of. So, right, keep their comfortability in mind there. But after adventures, make sure to stretch them so they're not limping the next day. And through the body checks as well, you can see if they hurt themselves. Some dogs, I see this a lot in a lot of Nordic breeds like Malamutes and Huskies, that they don't show injuries until it's progressed far. And so doing the massages and body checks, you can be like, oh, wow, they were able to, flex this leg more yesterday. Today they can't. They're very stiff. Their range of motion is limited. And then you can give them a rest day. You don't have to wait until they are limping to give them the break that they need. So I highly recommend that. And your pups will love it, right? Who does not love a massage? And so speaking of, being aware of our dog's body is being aware of our dogs. Too often I confuse like excitement with happiness or stoke, but they're actually stressed. And a big thing that I see that makes me really sad is when somebody's skiing down the mountain so far ahead of their dog, and their dog is going as fast as they can, whining. I saw one dog there, his paws were bleeding, but he was trying to chase his owner who had no clue what was going on behind them. And so your dog should be running with you, not downhill, frantically chasing after you. And so they should always be within sight. And if you're going down a long slope, do regular stops to check on them and let them catch up. This is a great time to practice sit. And then when you ski, like do a sit stay, ski, and then call them. Plus you can get some pretty cute pictures. And so also if you have multiple people in your party, have somebody in front and have somebody behind your dog so that you can always have your dog within sight. They're not chasing wildlife, getting in front of other skiers or hurt. So some signs of emotional and physical stress: wheezing and whining while running, diarrhea, they won't urinate, tight mouth, panting and wheezing, vomiting, won't eat treats when they otherwise would, excessive drooling, foaming at the mouth, and whale eye. And so when you notice those signs, those are that your dog is a little stressed. So I would take a little break, give your dog some time to recuperate, either maybe go a little slower, or keep it in mind to alter your training to prepare, for that. Maybe you've gone a couple of steps further than your dog is capable of at that time. And that's, okay, it's a learning moment, but just be aware of these signs. And if you are going, Melissa, I want to ride this long slope through the deep powder and I don't want to stop. Again, maybe that's a time that your dog stays home and you go on another outing with them later that day. Speaking of outings and everything, don't be afraid to dream big. I love hearing everybody's dreams and goals with their dogs. And so please, one, share them with me. I would love to hear what your goals are, and break down your goals into doable steps, right? Again, you can't ski a double black diamond before you can ski the bunny hill. And so I love setting a training schedule. And in the follow-up email that you guys will get tomorrow, I actually made a goal planner for you guys that you can write down your dog's goals, split them, or take apart that goal into the skills that you need, and then you can accomplish those. So for example, like my biggest goal right now with my border collie Cooper is to do ski joring more and to really improve our skills in that area. And so if I only thought of ski joring as this all or nothing thing, and I was like, okay, Cooper, we're gonna go out and you're gonna ski jor, that could be incredibly frustrating because I don't have the skills needed for that moment. And I truly believe that we shouldn't rely just on correction-based training in this moment, like me getting mad at Cooper when she doesn't know the commands. I should do the preparation beforehand so that I don't need to just rely on correcting them the entire time. So for like ski joring, I would think about, okay, what are the elements that compose ski joring? I need to get the line out, where they get to the end of the line, the hike, the go, right? The gi and ha, which means left and right, and then the whoa, which is stop. But I also need to think about me. Oh, I need to learn how to work cross-country skis. I am a snowboarder, and so I cannot ski. I've tried, pizza, French fry. It's very difficult for me, but I am gonna ask for help and learn how to cross-country ski. So if any of you guys are good at it, hit me up, help me out. But I'm going to go, I'm gonna develop my skills in cross-country skiing as much as I'm gonna develop Cooper's skills in learning the elements of ski joring. So you guys will be emailed that. It is a fillable PDF, but I think it will work best being printed. But don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to see your goals, help you break them down into steps. I think it's so much fun. And so dream big, because you guys and your dogs, when you break it down into little steps, you can do anything. Here are some of the skills that I think are the most important. From the beginner to the double black diamond expert skills that make the most amazing adventure pup ever. So in the beginning, you should always have a recall, a sit, a stay, and a respect of wildlife, other skiers, and etc. So your dog should be able to be called off of something exciting. They should stay, they shouldn't just bolt after a rabbit and not come back. And you should be able to get them in a sit and a stay, not only for, their safety, but for safety of others. And with training, I do not want to ever be the fun police, right? That is not my intention. That is not my goal. That's not my personality. And so with dogs, training is not about, restraining them and molding them into this non-emotional robot, right? That is not what it's about. It's about really flourishing your partnership with them and developing their skills and harnessing their potential and giving them the confidence that they can go out, they can be safe and capable and in tune and aware. And I notice a lot that a lot of dogs find so much confidence and purpose in working with you as their pack mate, right? They want to talk with you, they want to communicate with you, they want to know what's going on. And so these skills aren't about, right, creating a robot. They're about helping your dog and you and your dog's partnership really thrive. And so you can do these basic ones, or you can go, I split them into ski hills. Your intermediate stuff that adds a stay with me, which means come within my vicinity while we're walking or skiing. It's very similar to a heel, but I have found if you're on skis or snowshoes, a dog can get kind of stressed with heel because they might step on your ski edge or your snowshoes. But a stay with me is like staying within 3 feet of you. But also to be calm and focused at the summit while you transition. So your dog's not running around and barking at you, barking at others. Or I had heard of somebody last summer, local, who their dog at the summit ran off to the side, fell off of a cornice, and they had to get search and rescue to come get this dog out of the snow. And so, right, the conditions are so variable out in the mountains, and so that your dog can just be in a calm stay. Remember we talked about the rough wear Highland bed? That is a great tool to get a strong stay, that they can go in their place. Also on the intermediate skills, does not run after other parties. So they don't run after other skiers. And if they do, or if they're interested, you can call them off and they'll come back to you. Advanced, you can teach a go out, or other words, a get out, which means they're close to you, you say get out and point, and they run wherever you're pointing until you say yes. That's a really great, useful tool, especially if they're getting too close to your ski edge and you're going to go down. Or you can do a whoa or a stop, and then an off trail, which is super helpful on single track. If you want to have the double black diamond expert adventure pup that is safe and confident, happy and connected, and that anybody would be stoked to have out adventuring with them, you can even add a go left, a go right, and behind me. This is super useful if, like, for safety, if like the slough is coming down, you can say go left and down, they can run off the way. And it's just a super fun way to engage your dog while out on the trail. You can play games, and it really, really boosts their confidence and capabilities. And so the sky's the limit with these things, and you can start at beginner. And again, right, you can't do the double black diamonds until you start strong at the green. And so with that, with the training, I truly believe that we are our dog's advocates. And a part of that is being a partner that we expect them to be, and that we have these expectations of our dog being connected to us or in tune with us or their abilities. We should do the same for them, right? We are their partners. And so for safety, we should be responsible of having the leash, a flashing light on them, poop bags, and a first aid kit in your bag. And then having the right responsibility piece, pick up your dog's poop. That's for super important. And nobody likes to ski through poop, or have their snowshoes go on poop, or having their dog eat other dogs' poop and getting illnesses. So no matter where or wherever you are, pick up your dog's poop. Even though it's snowing, dog poop is actually not generally, right, depending on what we're feeding them, but it's not good for the environment. And so pick the poop up, get some biodegradable bags. And a pro tip is carry an extra Nalgene with baking soda in it and put the dog poop bag inside that, and then put that in your bag. So nobody's vanished to the back of the line because they're carrying the smelly dog poop, but you can get that out. And it's not only good for your dog, but for other dogs. And there's nothing that I love more than seeing people pick up their dog's poop. It makes me so happy. So do that, as well as making sure that your dog is under control and within sight at all times, and recall. A general rule of thumb is I like to expect that when I'm coming across other people, that they are uncomfortable around dogs until they prove otherwise. Not everybody is comfortable around dogs, and it is a privilege to take our dogs out into the backcountry. And more places are restricting dogs, or restricting where dogs can go because of accidents and too much dog poop on the trail. And so to preserve our ability to take our dogs out to these amazing places, make sure they are good ambassadors of a great dog-human partnership. And so in doing that, doing the necessary training to help our dogs be safe and happy. And with that too, what are some skills that we should know as our dogs advocates is we should be able to carry our dogs even when skiing. And so if you're new to skiing or split boarding, practice carrying heavy weights, practice, that you can turn and go over a variety of terrain, and then know that you can carry your dog out. Nobody wants to be in a situation where they can't get their dog out to safety. So having that, rescue harness, having a harness on them that you could pick up and carry if they're a smaller dog, but that that your skill level can carry them, but also that you can stop and turn on a dime so that if they're running up to you, that you can hurry and stop and not get them on your ski edge. Because there's so many fun things that we can do with our dogs. But one of my favorite things is a thing called Connect. And in your follow-up email, you are going to get a PDF of this tool. And so what that is when your dog touches your hand with their nose and then looks you in the eyes. This is a great tool for recall, as well as to help your dog stay focused and grounded. And so you have that in your email. Have fun doing it and let me know how it goes. I would love to see videos of you guys doing all of these things. So you'll get my Instagram at the end. Tag me, send it to me. It will make me so happy. Other training advice that I have for you guys is to train at trailheads. Trailheads are a place of a lot of commotion, and our dogs can kind of associate trailheads with excitement and adrenaline. And so they go there and their brain immediately goes into party mode. But going to trailheads and practicing the skills your dog knows or is learning, like Connect, while around all that commotion, it can help improve your dog's stress threshold and what they're able to focus on, or focus when there's a lot of commotion going around. It's super easy to train at our house, but then when you're out in the world, it's a whole different ball game. So again, think about it. You can't ski a double black diamond until you can ski a bunny hill. So, putting those into pieces, starting easy, and then adding the complexity as you go. Also is take your dog on a date. So this can be in conjunction with the trailhead one, but pack up one of your dog's meals, add some extra yummy toppers to that, go to a trailhead, park, or another distracting location below their stress threshold and away from off-leash dogs. So if your dog can't eat in that moment, it is too stressful. Go somewhere a little bit more relaxed, and hand feed them while you watch the world together. This is a great way to positively expose your dog to new things. It improves your bond, and it builds your dog's confidence that they can observe the world from a distance. A big thing that I'm passionate about is that our dogs don't feel like the world is happening to them, but with you. So that not every dog they see is going to affect them, or every person is stressful, or everything is just overstimulating, that they have the confidence to observe, look at you, and as you guys navigate the world. And so these things are so much fun, and they're super important, and they're a game changer. So try those out. Let me know how it goes. And you will soon just be regularly taking your dog out on these observation dates. It's a lot of fun. With the skiing as well, and with safety, Ski edges are extremely dangerous and can slice tendons, nerves, ACLs, and even lead to amputations. So the metal on our skis, right, is very sharp. So don't let your dogs near your skis, even inside. I am a big stickler for this rule, and it's incredibly important. So even if our split boards like are on the floor, our dogs know to avoid them. They don't step on them. And so one way that you can try that is if they get close to them, you can clap and say no very, very loudly and walk them away. If they ever get close to them, make a big commotion. No, 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 get off, right? And so you want them to be like, oh, geez, these things, I need to avoid them. If you ever see your dog avoid your skis, reward them. You want them to give them a wide like distance, right? Like 2 feet at least. With that, don't let your dog trail behind you closely while on the skin track. Ideally, you want them at least 2 feet behind your skis in case you stop abruptly or go backwards or they get spooked and jump forward. So really, really prioritizing practice that they know that they can't just stand right on your edges. I've had a lot of people contact me that they, at the end of, they got to the summit and then they noticed that their dog's paws were bleeding because they just got a bunch of little cuts on their board. So be super careful of that. Always check where your dog's at. Teaching a get behind and practicing the stop command are super helpful with that. And also you can look up at my Instagram. I'm going to be doing some upcoming tutorials on ski awareness training to help our dogs be happy while we're skiing, but avoid our ski edges. So you've gone on this grand adventure, you had lots of fun, you did the training and prep, you get home, you did the stretches. It's also important to think about the recovery and the nutrition. When it comes to hydration, I really emphasize quality over quantity. Even if your dog drinks a whole bowl, some dogs that can mess up their electrolytes. Every dog is different again, but that can mess up their electrolytes, cause your dog to vomit, give them a stomach ache. And so this is my electrolyte drink that I make for my dogs. And I have noticed it really helps them recover faster. They don't drink tons of water to throw up. They also don't get bloated or have diarrhea afterwards. I've really liked the results from this. It's very simple too. And a pro tip is you want your broth full of collagen and not diluted down. If it's a super diluted broth, I would just reduce the water that you're putting in there. The ideal broth and the broth I like to use is congealed at room temperature. And so that's why I add a little bit of water to it. And always avoid broths with garlic and onion. Those are toxic to dogs. So most store-bought broths do have garlic and onion. So check out your local dog food store or your local butcher shop and see what broths they have available. And that is it. That's a lot of stuff. It's pretty broad topic, and I hope I gave some stuff that are helpful in getting you guys going on your adventures. And for any questions, you can email me. My email's right there. You can text me, you can DM me on Instagram, or you can go to my website, which is junipertrailsdogtraining.com. And stay tuned for bonus content, PDFs, and a raffle announcement. And again, your questions are in the Q&A, and thank you so much, Roughwear and SheJumps, for this evening. So I'm going to turn my camera back on.
Awesome, Melissa, that was just so informative and amazing. We got a lot of really good questions, and we are already a little bit over time. So we'll just spend about 5 minutes answering a few of the ones that I could tell a lot of people had, and then we'll wrap it up. If anyone needs to go, we totally understand. I think it is important. You gave us so much great information and you shared with us your email. If you all have specific questions about your dog and training, she's an expert. You should reach out to her and look into, some of her services that she provides, because a lot of y'all, I can tell y'all can use them.
So I will see a picture of your dogs too. So even just send them to me on Instagram. it will make my day.
Yes, we love seeing pictures. So one kind of question that a lot of people asked, and this is something that maybe you could shoot to me and I can put in the wrap up email as well. A lot of questions around the footies. A lot of people are having trouble keeping them on, getting snow on the top, not finding the right size. And so if you have any tips, tricks, or good links that we could send out later, anything?
Yeah, so with boots, it's important to recognize a lot of dogs have different sized paws. And so to measure each paw individually to get boots that fit. The socks help immensely. And I've also liked to use, oh yes, the Rough Wear has a great fitting video too. The vet tape that you can put on the top if you're having a really hard time. Don't put that on too tight though. You want open circulation, so you want it snug. You don't want it pinching, pulling hair. I only use that if I'm noticing like deep powder can pull shoes off. If my dog is struggling getting snow in there, I'll check the fit, check the socks. If need be, I get that wrap on top. Oh, you're muted.
Yep, that happens. All right, and one other good question is, how do you get your dog comfortable with the Fido harness? Is that something you should practice before you're out in the backcountry?
Yeah. So the Fido harness, I'm actually going to do a tutorial on that pretty soon in the next couple of months, all right? Bringing it out. Comfortable with coats, they're not going to be comfortable with a coat that lifts them off the ground. And so getting them even just used to wearing it, and I put it on, hold it up just a little bit, and hand feed them treats. Immediately take it off before they have time to think about it too much. You repeat and then you lift. Give a treat, release. Lift, give a treat, go down. And then pretty soon your dog kind of is just like, okay, this is weird, but I'm down with it. And you just stay below their stress threshold daily, building up that skill. And then eventually they will just sit in it like it's their chariot. My border collie loves the harness. I swear it makes her think she's real cool when she's riding in it.
Yay, treats. I know if I treat my dog, she'll do anything. So
I mean, me too. I'm very food motivated, so I relate.
Yes, that's awesome. And we had one more good question. For the drink, the electrolyte drink, how many servings does the recipe make? Or what are the proportions?
It depends, because I have 3 dogs. And so it makes a pretty good amount, depending on how often you're using it. I think I put it in the slide, and I should have mentioned, I love freezing it in little ice cubes. So then I just bring that out and I melt it, and then they just have like a little cup of it. Because it's not, you don't want to give them too much, right? You don't want your dog to have too much sugar or salt. The salt is really low in this recipe, but just giving them little bite-sized pieces, even if they're just chewing on the ice, is what I like to do. So you only want to give your dog a little bit, and then freeze the rest, and it's a great, it lasts forever, right, in the freezer.
Awesome. This all has been great. I think I covered a lot of the good questions. Again, if anyone has more questions, feel free to reach out to Melissa. She's awesome and she'll get back to you. Just so you all know, the recording and the recap email will happen within 24 hours, depending on how all of our technology works out. So you may not get it first thing tomorrow. So don't get stressed out if you don't see it right away. It will come to you within 24 hours. Also, I wanted to wait to do my raffle until after the end of the event. So I made sure I had everyone that signed up. So tonight I'm going to pick the raffle winners via Excel sheet, and we will announce those in the recap email as well. And so in that recap email, you're also going to get an awesome video of Melissa with Caroline, a professional mountaineer. And so that'll be really great bonus footage to check on as well. And I'll put my email in the recap email as well. If anyone is interested in more SheJumps events, volunteering, or donations, feel free to reach out to me and I'd love to answer those questions. And with that said, we talked earlier about how important avalanche courses can be. Check out our Eventbrite. We list all of our events there. And so it can be a really great resource to start taking some of those courses or getting that knowledge so that you and your dog can recreate in the snow safely. Awesome. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Melissa, did you have anything else to say? Are you good?
No, I'm good. Thank you guys so much. Keep me posted on how things are going. I love to stay in touch with everybody. So just let me know and I'll see you guys on the slopes.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
See ya.